What's up, y'all? It's your boy Odie Meeks here, bringing you guys another video. It's that time of the year when we sit back and think about all the movies that were released in the past 12 months and decide which ones sucked the most. From the return of franchises that no one was asking for, to the still going strong trend of adapting old cartoons into live action, to the highly anticipated sequels that just did not live up to expectations. This year had it all. So in this video, I'll be counting down my top 5 worst movies of 2021. Oh boy, there's been some straight garbage that came out this year, so let's give these shitty movies all the credit that they deserve. Starting with number 5. Although everyone was skeptical at first as to why Marvel was making a Black Widow movie to begin with, because, you know, but hey, this is Marvel, so they can do no wrong, right? Wrong. Black Widow is the rare Marvel miss. A dud. A nothing of a Marvel movie. The only reason why this film exists is to retcon Natasha's family into the MCU canon. So now her sister can be in the movies and Disney Plus shows, and we can have a new Black Widow. Which is cool and all, but to me, that is TV show material. Had this movie been a Disney Plus show, I would have given it a pass. But because it was the first film to start off Phase 4 of the MCU, it's a very weak start and an incredibly shallow and bland movie. But it's not the worst of the worst. So, yeah. Just because you slap Marvel Studios on it does not guarantee that it is a good movie. Which is why Black Widow is number 5. On to number 4. Speaking of delayed movies that once we finally got it, it was disappointing. Halloween Kills. God, where do I even begin with this movie? It sucks, and it's a nothing movie. Once again, like there's a lot of nothing movies that came out this year. So if you ever wanted to see what a filler episode of a show looked like in movie form, Halloween Kills is your answer. The events of this movie could have been like shaved and cut down to like 30 minutes of actual consequential stuff. The rest of it is literally filler. Like I'm not exaggerating. It's filler. This movie is just like the title says, it's just Michael Myers killing for about an hour and 45 minutes. It's Halloween Kills. That's cool, I guess. Like, you can't argue that they didn't give you what you came for, but that's not enough. What else you got? The first Halloween, not that one. No, not that one either. Yeah, that one. So the first Halloween had a great premise and kicked off an interesting story. And I was expecting, I don't know, the continuation of that story. But instead we got like a bunch of filler. Just nothing happening for an hour and 45 minutes. Characters doing stuff, but then undoing the thing because we can't do anything because this is filler. You can't move the plot ahead when this is a filler episode. What are you, nuts? What are we going to do in the third one then? The franchise took like 2 steps forward with the last film, and this movie took at least 5 steps back. The only reason why I don't have Halloween Kills higher on my list is because at least the kills are entertaining to watch. For the most part, it's always fun to watch Michael, kill, even though it doesn't make any sense sometimes. This movie sucks. Here's hoping Halloween Ends doesn't make my list next year. Halloween Kills is nothing but a filler movie, which is why it is number 4. Now to number 3. Paramount Plus blessed us with the surprise reveal and release of Paranormal Activity: Next of Kin. At first, I was super excited. Another Paranormal Activity? I love those movies. Well, most of them. Let's get it. I couldn't wait, boy. Like, I was counting down the days. But then, I watched it. This movie is terrible. Holy fuck. It's like, even a bad Paranormal Activity movie is still watchable, you guys. Paranormal Activity 4 and The Ghost Dimension were still watchable. This movie is unwatchable. This movie fucking sucks. It is nothing but a soulless cash grab. And that's saying something when the rest of the franchise was basically a soulless cash grab too. It is not a Paranormal Activity movie. It is one in name only. There are too many issues with this movie for it to be saved in any sort of way. And I tried to like it, dude. Trust me, I really did not want to dislike this movie. The only reason why I don't have this movie higher on the list is because this movie is kind of so bad that I enjoyed tearing it apart. It was weird. It was fascinatingly bad. And that's why Paranormal Activity Next of Kin takes the number 3 spot. Which brings us to number 2. I know that from the start. A, this movie isn't for me. It's for kids. And B, I already knew this movie was gonna most likely be terrible, but boy, was I blown away by how bad Tom and Jerry was. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. Ugh. Tom and Jerry, the movie, was painfully unfunny, uninteresting, uninspired, ugly as all sin, and lacking of any sort of redeeming quality whatsoever. It's remarkable how god-awful this movie is. Like, if you were going to make this movie, at least put in a little bit of effort. The most basic amount of effort would have been appreciated. And don't get me started on this bitch right here. She basically ruined the whole movie single-handedly. Because the movie is about her. It's not about Tom and Jerry. Look, I will admit, I like the first 2 Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, okay? Yep, I said it. The first 2. Nothing after that gets a pass. The other ones are kind of... They were solid adaptations of the source material, and people enjoyed them. Hence why they made 4 of them. And the human integration to the story was done in a way that made sense. When the majority of the plot focuses on human characters and their issues and shenanigans more than the actual characters we're here for, you sort of lost the whole point. Yes, Tom and Jerry is a cartoon about a cat and a mouse who don't talk, who chase each other around. Yeah, that's silly. But if you didn't want to put in the effort to turn that premise into a movie properly, then you shouldn't have tried to do it in the first place. Because then you end up with this. But Tom and Jerry wasn't the worst movie. No. That title goes to another. A film that redefines what it means to suck. God damn, this movie sucks. But before I name my number 1 worst movie of 2021, I've got to give out a couple of honorable mentions. Movies that sucked but just barely missed this list. So they were terrible, but boy, you got lucky. I'm looking at you, Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. It sucks. It's barely a movie. It's more like a feature-length commercial for Warner Brothers. The meta nature of the film and the whole serververse or whatever, it's dumb. It's so bad. It's horrible. It makes my eyes bleed. But as much as I want to roast this movie to its core, in that same breath, I would have to roast the first Space Jam 2. Space Jam is a classic. Space Jam 2 is not. Space Jam is a classic. I love the original Space Jam. One of my favorite films as a kid. Would watch it on repeat over and over and over again. I love it. But you guys, if you sit there and tell me that Space Jam is an actual, like, well put together, well thought out movie, then you lying. You just lying. It's silly. It's corny. The acting was bad. And it's just as commercialized as the new one. So I can't hate this new one without hating the first one. And I don't. I don't hate the first one. Therefore, I can't hate this new one. It is a terrible, awful movie. Please hear me when I say that. The big difference between the 2 movies is A, the quality of the movies, and B, there's no heart to this new one. The first Space Jam had a lot of heart to it. It was a weird film that could have only have worked when it did. To try to make a sequel to it was a fool's errand to begin with. Now, number 1. This movie managed to come out right at the tail end of the year. Like nobody was gonna notice or something. Just in time to make this list. The Matrix Resurrections. The sequel no one asked for, but we got anyways. The Matrix Resurrections is a bad movie. It's fucking terrible. I just got angry thinking about it. Hate is a strong word. I hate this movie. I hate you. If you like The Matrix Resurrections, this movie, it hurts. Watching this movie is like eating a whole thing of wasabi in like one bite. Trying to get through this movie was like trying to sharpen my pinky with a pencil sharpener. My balls hurt just from talking about this movie. Just from thinking about this movie. No, this movie doesn't just suck. It's disrespectful. I felt disrespected watching this movie, both personally and towards the original trilogy of films. It was one thing to subject me to a bad movie, okay? I can deal with that. But to try to retroactively ruin the first 3 films is just disrespectful. Spoiler alert, turns out Neil isn't the one. Sorry. I thought he was, but he must have just been able to do all that shit because, I don't know. I just don't know. Trinity is now the one, I guess. Or they're both the one, or neither of them the one, or who cares? And we are pretty much saying at this point that the events of the last 3 films were basically pointless. We start back to square one when this movie starts. Like, what the fuck, dude? The bastardization of the legacy characters combined with new characters who no one wanted or even likes. These new characters, I hate these new characters. I hate them. I hate them. And to make things worse, this movie thinks it's so smart and clever and meta. It's so stupid and bad. I couldn't help but be impressed. I'm like, this is impressively bad. With such a name like The Matrix, how many channels did this movie's script go through? And then, editing, how many people saw this movie and was like, that's a good idea. It takes a perfect storm of bad ideas, bad leadership, and poor execution to culminate in such a colossal piece of shit. And that's what happened. That's what happened. A perfect storm, you guys. No one stopped to question the decisions being made. No one stopped to ask,
wait a minute,
is this the way to go? Like, should we be doing this? This seems a little much. Is that a good idea? No one. And now, because of this film, the Matrix franchise will always have this horrible stain. We will always remember how bad things were and be grateful. Be grateful for the trilogy that we have now, okay? Because everyone hated on Reloaded and Revolutions. Everyone did. I don't understand it. I recently watched Reloaded and Revolutions leading up to Resurrections because I wanted to be refreshed. You guys, Reloaded and Revolutions is actually really good. I'm sorry to break the news, but those are actually solid films. They're not the best as far as trying to immediately create a sequel to the beloved movie that is The Matrix, but taken as it is, them just trying to expand the ideas of what The Matrix could be, it's fucking fantastic. It feels like an anime brought to the screen. There's more, more of what you love from the first one, but they added to it. The problem is the stuff that they added to it, people just don't like that stuff. In my opinion, I think it's fine. I think it was ahead of its time. But I bet you now you guys are probably gonna look back at those ones differently. Because Resurrections not only tries to add to what was there, but strips away what was already there to make you think that, well, that wasn't important and this wasn't important. Actually, Neo wasn't the one, and it's actually Trinity now. And now the bad guy is this, and what about this? And now we're meta now. What? It's awful. So let's all apologize to Reloaded and Revolutions. Let's all, to cleanse our palates, go back to those movies, and let's all remember that this happened.
Burn this.
I'm sorry?
This must never be seen by anyone.
If you didn't like all those close-ups, we can. No, this is not the final cut. There's no doubt we can.
All copies. Destroy them.
You want me to play it again?
Has anybody seen this?
Nobody has seen this.
They have to be found and talked to.
All right.
And that's why The Matrix Resurrections is my pick for the worst movie of 2021. This movie is truly an abomination. And if you watch this movie, you're part of the problem. All right, guys, that's my list for the top 5 worst movies of the year. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Here's to 2022. Peace.
Man, you look at the sky. All the stars, man, the stars are beautiful tonight.